For centuries, humans have associated the ability to see tomorrow with the supernatural. We imagine clairvoyance, time machines, or magical artifacts handing us the answers. This myth is comforting, but it creates a massive blind spot. When we write off the future as entirely unknowable, we resign ourselves to a life governed by perceived chaos, a series of events that simply happen to us. Yet, beneath the surface of that belief, our own biology is actively working against it. The human brain operates as a constant, subconscious probability engine, calculating what is going to happen a fraction of a second before it actually does. Dismissing prediction as a parlor trick ignores our mind's most refined survival mechanism. You don't need to look at historical turning points to see this engine running. It is operating right now, at the micro level of your daily routine. You grab an umbrella because the humidity drops and the sky dims. You drill flashcards because you know how your professor writes exams. You phrase a text message carefully because you know exactly how your friend will react to the wrong tone. None of these are guesses. They are rapid mathematical assessments. Your brain pulls up a vast archive of historical data, identifies the current environmental signals, and calculates the most likely outcome. If we already run these predictive algorithms subconsciously for a rainstorm or a conversation, we can consciously engineer that exact same mechanism to forecast massive, complex outcomes. The future is not a blank slate. It is constructed from a sequence of readable indicators, repeating signals, and observable behaviors happening right now. Highly successful individuals execute a cognitive filter. They look past the chaotic static of daily distractions, identifying the bright sequence of relevant data. The strategist extracts this signal, urbanizing it into a coherent trajectory, while observers remain trapped inside the static. Mastering this process requires a shift in priorities. We have to stop looking for absolute certainty and apply strict discipline to the search for patterns. This logic scales up to our most complex global systems. Financial markets do not pivot on isolated, spontaneous events. A stock rises because identifiable microtrends in consumer behavior and global supply chains and investor sentiment compound until they reach a tipping point. A 30-year career trajectory follows the exact same rules. Professional growth is the compounding interest of repeating microhabits, small daily decisions about skill acquisition and network building that accumulate over decades. Even catastrophic failure has an anatomy. Corporate bankruptcies and systemic collapses almost never happen overnight. They happen because a series of escalating, highly visible warning signals were willfully ignored by the people in charge. Whether we analyze a surge in global wealth, the promotion of a manager, or an industry-wide crisis, the mechanics remain exactly the same. The laws of cause and effect always leave identical footprints. To actively read those footprints, we need a practical framework. We have to stop trying to visualize a single perfect image of tomorrow and start dissecting the exact trajectory of today. This model is called the probability matrix. Instead of pinning all our anxiety on one specific outcome, this forces us to map the data into 3 distinct dynamic branches: the best-case scenario, the worst-case scenario, and the statistically most likely outcome. By distributing the possibilities across a weighted matrix, the terrifying unknown is dismantled. It becomes a highly structured, fully navigable landscape. Of course, human cognition has a hard ceiling. Achieving a 100% accurate prediction every single time is mathematically impossible. Look at this massive blueprint. Real-world systems operate like this shifting labyrinth, constructed from millions of compounding variables. Because these elements are in constant motion, absolute control over the future remains an illusion. But we don't need absolute control. While dictating every variable is impossible, preparing for the most probable variations is entirely within our capability. The goal of foresight is to build a foundation capable of withstanding any weather pattern the matrix throws at you. This brings us to the final transition. Once we map the probabilities, we move from being observers to being active participants. Understanding the trajectory allows us to identify which current actions actually influence the final result. Bringing back our probability matrix, we isolate the best-case pathway. By tracing it backward, we identify the specific inputs required to sustain that branch. This allows us to align our current time and resources with the exact behaviors that make that outcome statistically probable. We track the signals because mapping the future provides the agency to influence it. The architect's strength comes from building toward the outcome they have already mapped. True power lies in the decision to step up and create the tomorrow you've anticipated.